Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Tuesday night's Hotline Live, brought to you by NordVPN. In the flesh, I'm with the one and only Keith Jackson.
Astonishing that you can still find your way in here.
I got lost a few times, but we made it. Scott McDermott from the Record Sport was also meant to join us. He didn't make it.
Unbelievable, you. Here, we had an agreement. The three of us will be in here, we said, for Tuesday night. Now look at you.
Sorry, very busy diary, Jacko's.
I'm delighted to say as well, Keith.
We're joined by football royalty.
Football royalty indeed. The one and only Bill McMurdo joins as very special guest. Bill, thanks so much for coming on with us.
My pleasure. Always a pleasure to see Keith.
Bill, I don't know what's going on with you. You're the Benjamin Button of the football agents world. You're looking younger than you did when you were representing Maurice Johnson.
Costs a lot of money, mind.
Well, just as well you've still got an iron in the fire then, isn't it?
I know, it doesn't come cheaply, I've got to tell you.
You're mentioning obviously an iron in the fire, Lewis Ferguson, who's represented by Bill, and he started last night. Bill, big win for Bologna again away to Napoli.
It's tremendous. They've beaten Napoli twice this season, and deservedly so on both occasions. I thought it was a great game, good result. Couldn't wish for better.
Yeah, I caught a wee bit of it, and I thought Lewis, as he normally does, played pretty well. The winning goal. I think it was Jonathan Rohl that scored it for Bologna. It's worth checking out.
What was it, 3-2?
It was a screamer.
Jonathan Rohl, yeah.
Aye,
Jonathan.
It was a belter.
But
came on as a sub.
I think, Bill, one of the reasons, obviously, you wanted to come on was just to clear one or two aspects up around Lewis, around his future, around his current situation at Bologna, and what you think the likely kind of scenario might be over the course of the next wee while, because obviously at this moment in time it's a heavy rotational policy at Bologna, and probably Lewis isn't getting as much football as he would have expected as club captain.
Well, that was foreign to us because it wasn't enforced before, and every club that Lewis has been at, he's played regularly every game and never subbed, very, very seldom subbed unless he was injured. But this new coach introduced this rotational system. And I have to say, Keith, not only for Lewis, but for every single player in the squad, you never know what the team's going to be. Mm-hmm. Now, my argument was, okay, you have a rotational system, but I've never known any club to include their captain in the rotation.
And the best players, yeah.
I find that odd, but that's the coach's choice. I think it's upset me more than it's upset Lewis. Lewis is taking it in his stride, although he's exasperated, as you can imagine. But it's his Bill. He's the coach. He makes his decisions, and I'm a professional. I'll get on with it.
I didn't actually know, Bill, you were coming on with us tonight, and it was just by chance I caught the game last night. Mm-hmm. And as ever, I thought Lewis played really well. Obviously, the World Cup's coming up, so it was, timely for us as Scotland fans. A lot has been made, Scott, about Rangers and Rangers missing a Scottish court. I know there's a lot of fans back here that would love to see him play for Rangers one day. I don't know how realistic that is, but
in terms of Lewis going to Rangers,
perhaps one day. You never know.
You're asking the wrong man here, Dan.
Well, look, from my point of view, Daniel, I was interested to ask Bill about it. I mean, obviously I cover Rangers most weeks. I mean, when I watched Lewis play at Hamilton Accies as a kid, I thought he was made for Rangers even back then. Not just because he's family connection, just because the type of player he was, the type of leader he was, even at that young age. And I'm just staggered for a Rangers point of view that when he left Hamilton and then again when he left Aberdeen, that Rangers weren't in for him, properly in for him to make that deal happen. So I'm just interested to ask Bill. Obviously, people are still talking about the potential of Lewis Ferguson playing for Rangers one day, but Bill, why did it not happen at an earlier stage? Were Rangers ever seriously interested?
No, never. Not in my opinion. First of all, I couldn't understand why they got rid of him, because they said he was too heavy and he would never make the grade. That stung, as you could imagine, right? But when he moved to Aberdeen, I thought there was a possibility that Rangers would come in then. he had a couple of great seasons at Aberdeen, and I thought that Rangers would come in then. But the sort of rumours that was going about, well, if Rangers were to come in, Aberdeen would put up the price. Now, I can tell you that Bologna got him for $2.5 million. It's not a lot of money. Not a lot of money, is it, really?
A brilliant bit of business, Bill.
Crazy.
That is tremendous. Now, Scott, I'll tell you this. Lewis will play for Rangers before his career finishes. Absolutely, no doubt about that. He's maintained that from day one, that he will, sometime in his career, he will come and play for Rangers. No doubt, 100%.
What about before the summer's over, Bill?
Before August.
Before he goes to Germany, before he goes to the World Cup.
We've got some comments coming in, and if you're watching at home, hit us with your questions. Some really good questions that have come in already. Gavaldo says it was another missed opportunity for Rangers that will cost them millions. Marzuno, Bill says, would he have gone to Celtic at any point? I know he's got a big Rangers link, obviously.
I think he would have to consider it as a professional. He always wants to develop his career, and I think he could have developed his career at Celtic, given the opportunity. There was some talk that there was some interest. I have to tell you, this is quite funny, even at this stage. I was told on good authority that Tosh McKinley had put him forward to Celtic on a couple of occasions, and they refused to take it any further. And the reason that they gave for not pursuing it was somebody in their wisdom says he's no very good at penalties. I find that funny, even today. I find that funny. There you are.
When would that have been, Bill? Was that in his Hamilton days or his Aberdeen days?
No. That was when he was at Aberdeen.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
Right.
So
It's a fact. It's an absolute fact.
In terms of this summer, because Rangers are actively looking for a replacement for James Tavernier. I don't mean as a right back, I mean as a captain.
Right.
And many people will look at Lewis and think, and it's been discussed, there's a guy that could walk into that Rangers starting 11, make them better, but also take on a captaincy because he knows the demands and the expectations around that football club. Are you telling us, Bill, that ship has sailed in terms of roundabout now because the price, the money involved is just going to be too big?
I think the money could be too big, but I could be wrong. Because, and I'll tell you why I say that, Keith. Last year, they couldn't afford them because when we had Juventus and Napoli with offers on the table, they were talking about paying somewhere in the region of 20-25 million euros.
Oh.
And and then we have a situation whereby I've said to Bologna this year, because of this rotational system that they have, that they've dropped his value. I says, you have to understand that because of that his value must have decreased by down to about maybe 10-15 million. Now, I don't know if they would agree with me on that, but the very fact he's not played as many games, I think could have an adverse effect on his transfer fee.
Well, I think that's an obvious one, Bill, and because not only that, but people will look. They know there was an injury issue. They're probably looking, going, well, is this the legacy of the injury? He's not back to being the same player. He is back to being the same player. He's just working under a coach that doesn't want to play him week in, week out, along with the rest of that squad. So I think they've taken that risk. They've knocked a big chunk off the price. The question I've got for you is, would it be a manageable price for Rangers? Or is he destined to go to a Napoli or an AC or an Inter or Juventus?
I did an article earlier on this week and said that he would go to any one of 5 countries, top countries. I never thought at the time about Rangers, to be honest, for a simple reason. I didn't think that Rangers would want to pay the money because I don't know what the money is, and I still don't know what Bologna are looking for. I'll have a meeting with them in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and it may well be that they want to keep him. We've got 2 years left on the contract, and I don't know what they want to do. But you'd have to tell me, if they were looking for 10, 15, 20 million, is that too much for Rangers?
You started at a point that might be achievable and went very quickly to a point that certainly won't be. But I mean, the Rangers have got a deal in place just now for Skov Olsen, right? I don't know if you're keeping in touch with how much you've been watching.
Sure.
But the deal's worth £9 million to make it a permanent transfer.
Right.
And they've obviously paid a loan fee to initiate it and make it happen for the last 6 months of this season. Now, there's a contract that I would tell you I have to assume would be getting ripped up and placed in the nearest waste paper basket. But it does say to you that if they've got those sort of funds, they've got the opportunity to finalise that deal at around about £9 million, which is closer to €10 million. It means that Rangers might get in at the very early stages of a bidding process. Whether or not they'd still be there at the end is another matter, I'm guessing.
Jacko, the other thing is you need to take into account is Nico Raskin's future at Rangers, because you're talking
they need a central midfield player if he leaves.
Well, you're talking about a potential replacement for Tavernier as captain, but in terms of Rangers midfield, I mean, if Raskin goes to the World Cup and plays for Belgium and excels for Belgium at the World Cup, you'd be surprised if there's no clubs interested. And look, I think like 2 years left on his Rangers deal. I think that would be a player that Rangers would be looking to get, make a profit from. Let's just say Raskin's obviously had a few issues at Rangers that have been well publicised, and I think if he was to go and Rangers did make a big profit on him, for a Belgian international, you could be talking £10-15 million for Raskin.
Yes.
If Rangers get money in that range, then surely Lewis Ferguson would come into their thinking.
So, Bill, is this a conversation you want to have with Andrew Kavanagh?
Well, I don't know. We've said often that every move he makes, he wants it to develop his career.
Yeah.
And we've had offers. The injury set us back a bit, as you can imagine, right? You mentioned about the fact that he no longer has the injury. He's not suffering from the injury. It's not the fact that he can't play 2 games in a week because of the injury. We have to rule that out. That's just not the case. Yeah. He's very good value for money, even today. Now, I don't know. We've had discussions in the past about 2 things he said to me, that he wants to play in the English Premier League at some time, and he wants to play for Rangers at some time. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. Now, if Rangers could make it happen and we could do a deal with Bologna, I would love that. But I don't know. I don't know if it could happen. I really don't, because of the money situation.
Interesting.
Before we let you go, Bill, another couple of comments, if that's okay.
Sure.
Luke says Lewis should be made instant captain at Rangers. John the Blue Nose says this must be a goer for Rangers. They need the right type of captain. Stephen Mason says you'll have his pick of clubs after the World Cup. And our friend Gianni says Lewis will be eyeing up another move in Italy. Don't think it'll be a top-tier team like Juve or Inter. Maybe a wee side like Napoli. he's not a Napoli fan. But I was just thinking that there. Same with Scott McTominay and Billy Gilmour and stuff. You can't help but feel proud when you see a Scottish player going out there.
I was saying to Bill before we came on, we're going to go to a World Cup and there's the prospect of us playing at an almost entirely Serie A midfield. But we'd need to drop John McGinn to make that happen.
True.
I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. And, Bill, even, I'm not going to say a ripe old age, very experienced, clever wheeler and dealer, has realised and identified the market is there. The Italian, for whatever reason, young Scottish talent has got a place. The Italians, it's almost like the clubs treat it like having a Gucci man bag. Oh, you get the best young player out of Scotland. Yeah. And Lewis has gone there, and he was almost a bit of a trailblazer before McTominay and Billy Gilmour. And he was, what was it, Bill? He was voted the best midfield player or the best number 8 in Serie A.
Season. So, I can tell you now.
And that's why you get the clubs that were queuing up after him, the 3-4 of the biggest clubs in Italy.
Yes. I can tell you now that if he hadn't been injured, he was Napoli's first choice and Juventus' first choice. I know that without a doubt. Giovanni Mani, who's the sports director in Napoli. Funny story there, tell you very, very quickly. He used to be the sports director of Juventus, and I was over to see him.
Right.
Did I tell you the story before, Keith? Yeah?
No, but I know that he did go from Juve to Napoli, yep.
I was over to see him about 2 weeks before he left for Napoli, but I didn't know that. But he said to me, I want to sign Lewis. There's no doubt about that, Bill. We'll do a deal. Can you speak to the player and we'll get it wrapped up? So I spoke to Lewis. I said, look, you want to go to Juventus? In a very blasé way, as you can imagine. He said, I would love it if there's nothing else. So anyway, 2 weeks later, I get this phone call. And the guy says to me, I want to sign Lewis for my club. I says, what's your club? He says, my club's Napoli. I says, I know you. I says, you're Giovanni Mani. I says, 2 weeks ago, you were the sports director of Juventus. He says, well, I'm now the sports director of Napoli and I want to sign Lewis. Now, I'm convinced in my own mind that if he hadn't got injured, McTominay and wee Billy would have been toast.
Brilliant. By the way, is that a red cape you're wearing, Bill? You got a big
Aye,
super agent sign in the
Batman
back here. Brilliant.
Bill, it's been absolutely fantastic having you in Hotline Live. Thank you so much for coming on. We massively appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot, guys. All the best.
Cheers, Bill.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Bill.
Bye
Hopefully
now.
see you
Bye,
again soon.
bye.
Bill McMurdo there, Keith, as you say, football royalty.
Brilliant.
It was good having him on.
I mean, honestly, talk about
what headline that is.
Aye.
Lewis Ferguson will play for Rangers one day.
Aye.
But talk about a guy with longevity. I mean, this is a guy that I think his first client was George Best, and now he's still got a golden goose
pulling the strings,
playing in Serie A. That's multi-million pounds. But yeah, I found that really interesting that Lewis Ferguson. I've never heard that said before. That Lewis Ferguson has told his agent that he wants to play at Rangers before his career finishes. But also, Bill wasn't ruling out the prospect of something maybe happening this summer.
No.
So,
interesting.
That is interesting.
We had a lot of comments coming in there about Rangers. And Scott, I know you were at Ibrox today to hear from the Rangers manager. Before we bring you in on that, shall we have a listen to Danny Rohl?
Let's do that.
Let's do it.
I must really say I'm so motivated. I have passion. Yeah, I put all the negative things away. And I must also say, I got not just criticized, I got also some feedback in the direction like, we stick to you and we want to see you in the new season as well here because we believe in you. And this showed me that not everything was wrong in the last 200 days.
Danny, the owners have spent a lot of money on the team since their rise last year. In the conversations you've had, do you get the impression they're prepared to invest again significantly in the summer to make the changes that you want to make?
I cannot guarantee you how much, but I can guarantee you that they are really open to go again forward. And because they see the potential at the moment, they see really what we miss. And they see as well what we can do with the right signings. And I'm confident in this. And I think this is, again, the great setup because I'm where I like it at the moment here. Because we are ambitions, we are honest to each other, but we want to move forward.
Can I just ask you about the symbolism of finishing third in the league? This is a club where second best is not good enough, let alone third best. Rangers strive to be the best all the time. And how does that affect the feeling around here? And for the owners to come in their first season, according to finishing third in the league, a lot of Rangers fans find that unacceptable. So what is the message to them going forward?
That is not good enough this season from our side, from all of us. And this is the point where we are strong and straightforward to see what we have to do, to saw in the last couple of days, weeks, what was good, because this is also a part. But we saw as well what we missed finally to make the big one. And of course, you speak about winning trophies, and we are in the third position. And when we take the full season, then there were too many up and downs. We had a period where we won a lot of games, and our finish is not what we want. And from this point, we are honest to each other. We are convinced we can change it, and this is what I feel like.
He's come out fighting, Scott.
He has. I thought it was pretty bullish today, Daniel, I must admit. More so than usual. What I saw at the press conference was a guy who actually, I felt as if he had actually had a bit of weight lifted off his shoulders, because he's had conversations in the last 48 hours since Celtic Park with Andrew Kavanagh and the owners, and they've made it clear that they want him to lead the team again at the start of next season. So I thought he was actually, as much as being bullish, he was pretty relaxed and pretty excited and ready to go again next season. We're not even finished this season yet, but that was very much the message coming across, that he'd been reassured in his position basically, and he sounded pretty hungry to get going again and put things right.
You'd said the other night, Keith, on Hotline Live, that you had a gut feeling he might not be there on the first day of next season. Sounds like he's been given assurances he will.
It does sound like that.
Okay.
No, but listen, Keir Starmer's got 100 assurances from Labour MPs. There's about 85 of them or whatever that have written letters.
And I would say as well,
85 Rangers fans have written into us over the last 5 minutes saying Danny Rohl has to go.
85 has been modest, but I know they don't mean anything anymore, but those last two games as well, Hibs tomorrow night and Falkirk, I do think they kind of have to go well for them, don't they? Like, they have to show something.
Well, it's the season's whole season bust now anyway, so. But, yeah, I mean, you don't want to turn a 3-game losing streak into a 5-game losing streak.
Exactly.
Well, I'm not sure that Danny Rohl's out of the woods just yet. I think they've obviously been having conversations. I think Scott's absolutely right. And, you could see that in his body language and the way he was a lot more strong about himself than he had been in previous press conference when he clearly looked like a man that was feeling a bit of the strain.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I believe there is a bit of interest in Germany in Danny Rohl, whether it's Wolfsburg, whether it's Leverkusen's the latest one.
One of the comments right now saying Bayer Leverkusen now.
So I think that this is something that will need monitoring. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe Andrew Kavanagh sat down with him. He said it was more than Andrew Kavanagh, so there's good management structure in there. People are clearly putting an arm around him. Maybe he's been given the assurances. Maybe he does go again next season. I think from a Rangers perspective, Scott kind of touched on this the other night. That might become problematic if he's lost the groundswell of goodwill and support amongst the core of the Rangers fans, and if he starts next season by dropping a couple of points here or there, or not getting off to an absolute flyer, then Rangers, it's rinse and repeat. They end up back the same old cycle. So I think while this summer remains live, if there are options in Germany, I said it might be an elegant exit strategy for all parties if something like that was to come up. I'd be surprised if Rangers aren't at least considering what options might be available at this minute in time. So I don't think, as much as he's feeling a bit better about himself, clearly, I'm still not entirely sure that he'll be in charge for the first game of next season, but for potentially a variety of different reasons.
And anyone that's played Football Manager will know that the famous vote of confidence...
It's never a good sign.
It's never a good sign. Joe there says the famous vote of confidence. Marzuno says, no manager ever gets sacked after a vote of confidence from the board. Yerlau Muppet says, Danny did a great getting us within touching distance of the league. With the deadwood we have, he brought in only 3 new players, which are good additions, so we need to give him time to build the rest of the squad. Do you agree with that, Scott? Do you think there is a body of evidence there that says, look, Danny Rohl deserves to go again this summer and next season?
I'm not sure about a body of evidence, Daniel. I mean, ultimately, he came in when they were 13 points behind. What are they, 8 behind now? No, could finish up something like that. So maybe only
Such a
clawed
threat,
back
actually.
5 points. So I don't know about a body of evidence, but I do think with any manager, to come in and give him one transfer window, or to put him into a job where he is 13 points behind and completely been ruled out of a title race, to only give him one window and then to get rid of him in the summer, I must admit, I do think it'd be pretty harsh. I think he probably deserves another crack at it, another window. But as Keith touched on there, that is the risk, that is the danger for the Rangers board, that they invest again, they get the players in that he wants, and they get off to a bad start next season. Because, as I've said on here many times in the last couple of weeks, you cannot underestimate how damaging these 3 defeats in a row have been. Not just in terms of the title race, but in terms of the fans' view on Danny Rohl and how they're assessing his performance. I just think it puts him, and he'll know this, he's no daft, but it puts him under major pressure getting into the start of next season. I mean, it's fine the board saying now, we've got confidence in you, you're the man, you'll be in the dugout first game of the season. But I'm telling you, opening day, you get beat 1-0 off Kilmarnock, the new season, and Celtic and Hearts win their first game. You're under major pressure right for the off again. So that's the danger for the board. But no, listen, I do think he deserves another window, another crack at the start of next season.
I think he only deserves it if the people that are making the decisions have satisfied themselves completely that they believe he's the right man for the job.
Yeah,
you don't deserve another shot just because I've only had one window. You earn the right for another shot at it. It might well be that Danny Rohl has earned that in the eyes of the guys that will ultimately decide his future. That might very well be the case. I would, if I was them, I would still have major reservations. Look, this isn't speaking in retrospect. I said at the time of his appointment, I didn't feel that he had the experience required for the position. And I think that what you saw, or what we've seen towards the end of the season, or certainly in the post-split fixtures, was an indication that this is a young guy, aspiring, ambitious, no doubt about it, probably talented. But I think he lacked the experience, the know-how, the nous, whatever you want to call it, when push really came to shove in this campaign. And I think Rangers have paid a really heavy price for that. If you wanted to give him another chance, or you think he'd earned another chance, then what you would have to say is he's probably learnt more in these first 6 months at Rangers than he would have done at any point in his career.
Aye.
It's certainly a lot more than he would have learnt at 18 months at Sheffield Wednesday. I keep coming back to it.
I agree with you in the sense that they must see something in him. Now, whether that's the period, the win and run that he had almost immediately when he came in to get him back in the title race, maybe it's the scored a lot of goals. Rangers recently, unfortunately for them, have conceded a lot as well. They must see something in him that they want to stick with him. What I would say is, and you've touched on it there, in terms of his lack of experience, I mean, one of the major takeaways for the press conference the day was Danny Rohl being absolutely adamant that not only does he think that this squad badly needs leaders and a new leadership group in it, but he was also adamant that the board see that as well. And it's almost like they've recognised, right, he's doing what he can, but that squad needs new characters in it, new personalities in it to go and lead this, a proper title challenge next season. And obviously we know James Tavernier's going. We mentioned earlier the prospect of Raskin going, who's also in the leadership group. I would suggest Jack Butland's Rangers' future has a bit of doubt around it as well at the moment. These are all guys that are key parts of that dressing room. And by the sounds of it today, Danny Rohl wants to revamp that in the summer. And I've actually changed my mind, because a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago, we were talking about the kind of what they would do in the summer. And I thought at that time Rangers wouldn't need to kind of rip it up and start again. I thought it was maybe just 3 or 4 new players coming in, maybe 1 or 2 going out. That was when they were ticking along quite nicely, getting back in the title race. Obviously, what we've seen the last few weeks, the total collapse in the Premiership, I think that's probably changed my view, and I think there is more needed done in the summer. And at least for the Rangers fans, because it's what they've been crying out for recently, at least listening to Danny Rohl today, he recognises as well that need for a new leadership group in that dressing room, because clearly, and we bang on about it all the time, mentality, and Danny Rohl's been reluctant to talk about it in the last couple of months for obvious reasons, but there's clearly an issue with the lack of winning mentality, the lack of character in that dressing room to get over the line and win trophies, and that's what he's got to rectify, or he's got to try and rectify along with the recruitment team in the summer.
Well, in that case, maybe there's an acceptance on behalf of the board that they've shoved him out into a gunfight with a water pistol, and maybe there's an obligation then to try and give him better options going into a new season, and maybe that will turn out to be the case. But I mean, listen, I think if you're Andrew Kavanagh, Danny Rohl, whoever, I think if you're sitting there that night at Tynecastle, you see your players giving the Hearts players stretches to get rid of their cramp, and then another one of your players having a laughing joke, having just lost the league title, that should tell you a little bit about what sort of mentality and what sort of culture is in the dressing room. And it's not a winning culture, it's not a winning mentality, that's for sure.
We've got tons of comments coming in. We've got people asking about the games tonight, of course, Keith. The bottom 6 tonight, a lot of big games. Our friend Kyle Gunn's been in touch. He wants to talk about St Mirren. We will come to that, but there's plenty of people asking about Hearts. Foxy Lad says, can we talk about Hearts now, Daniel? Indeed we can, because time's getting away from us. Let's have a listen to Derek McInnes, see what he was saying today.
Obviously, we've been top of the league now for a while. People talk about mentality and how they cope. I think the facts show we're coping brilliantly. For us we already broke a club record in terms of points tally. A win tomorrow against Falkirk gets us to 80 points. And that's brilliant shooting. The fact that we've got Champions League qualification already secured, but obviously we want to try and go one better now and win the league. And I believe, and I have believed for a while, that we've got a team that's capable of winning the league. So just that unshakable belief in what we're doing. We have to overcome difficulties with injuries and the like, but every team has to deal with that. But I feel as though we take confidence. We're trying to hold off, and we have been trying to hold off a couple of heavyweights for a long time now. We've managed to see off Rangers at the minute, and we've got to try and see off Celtic over the next 2 games. But our first port of call was to try and see off Falkirk, and that's important for us just to focus on that one. We were denied a chance, a really good chance to get that second goal. So of course there's a bit of grievance, but you can't use that all of a sudden as a reason to get into the next game and still be hankering over that. I think we've moved on for that, and spoke to Willie yesterday. I get that off my chest, and then we move on to the game. And the players are the same. We've just got to concentrate on the job in hand. It's like we've got to make sure we're good enough tomorrow night to try and win the game. And Falkirk have still got that outside chance at 5th spot and potentially Europe. And so we're well aware of the difficulties of that.
There's obviously a lot to think about and take in. Obviously, it's a kind of exciting opportunity. There's a lot of talk around the place, and even out with the building everywhere you go, people want to talk to you about it. So it isn't easy, but we know as professionals you've got a job to do. And as I said there, first and foremost, we need to go and win the game tomorrow night. There will be nerves. It's totally normal. When you're in this position, there's got to be nerves for everybody. You're a human being after all, and when you get this close to achieving something great, it's only normal to have them. It's just about controlling them. But throughout the season, we've dealt with that really well. There's been all sorts of different pressures in games, without games. We've been behind in a lot. We've had to come back, and I've said to the boys a few times, we've dealt with every position you could possibly be in this season. We've dealt with, we came through it. So that needs to continue. There needs to be that level of composure and level head that you can go and do your job properly. And we do that tomorrow, then we look to go and beat Falkirk.
I was smiling there, Scott, off camera. See if someone had said back in September, October, the Hearts manager's going to be sitting there with 2 games to go, going, we can win the league tomorrow night. That's pretty insane that we're in that situation. But they deserve it, obviously, but it's just mad.
It's crazy. I mean, one of the comments there was about 80 points. For Hearts to get 80 points, which they can get tomorrow night, is just incredible. As you say, you'd never have predicted it. And just listening to Derek McInnes there, I know it's not a full press conference, but I've said on here that I think if it goes down to that last day, Celtic Hearts and Celtic need to win, or even if it's by a couple of goals, I would fear for Hearts, and I think Celtic, the crowd behind them at home, 60,000, they would do it. But it's really interesting. A couple of weeks ago, I remember listening to Derek McInnes' press conference, and he was even talking about he was prepared for it to go to the last game. I thought it was intriguing that he was even talking about it, but obviously the closer it's getting, and the more likely that is to happen. And I think he's mentioned that again the day that he's expecting Celtic to go and beat Motherwell tomorrow night, and it will go down to the last day. I just think it's clever because McInnes, by constantly referring to it and talking about it the last couple of weeks, to me that's almost him preparing his players for that moment. And I'm sure Jack will agree, but knowing Derek as we do, even now or even before now, he'll have a plan for Celtic Park, and he'll know exactly what they're going to do in that last game. So as much as I say, I think it'd be really tough for Hearts if it gets into that situation, which I think it will. I certainly wouldn't rule them out, basically because of McInnes, because of his preparation, because I know what he's capable of. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see how it pans out.
And in fairness to Derek McInnes, all of the plans for the big games this season, they lost once at Ibrox, but apart from that, all the plans have gone pretty well. They've turned up in every big game, basically.
What can I say? This is an experienced manager, a guy that understands the environment in which he's working, a guy that understands entirely the requirements, and you just need to listen to him there. And if I was a Hearts player and I saw him out there, fronting it up, doing the press conference, and I have to say Lon Shankland as well, they're so calm, they're so measured,
really relaxed,
they're composed, they're not shirking away from the reality of what they're involved in here, they're embracing it. That sends out, the two of them together, I think Derek McInnes, an exceptional, experienced manager, and then Lon Shankland, he's a real leader of men on the pitch. And they're sending out, without saying it, it's almost like subliminal messaging to the dressing room. We're in charge of this.
Yeah.
We're in control of our own destiny, and we're not fazed by it. We're embracing it. And that's, I mean, for a side that is looking at creating the potential for history, to be so calm, so measured, so composed going into these games, I dare say it'll be a different matter once the ball starts rolling tomorrow night. But that's, I just think he's played it, Derek McInnes, absolutely immaculately all the way through this season, and he won't crack. He won't crack going into these games.
No.
And I think he's really, I genuinely, I don't think he's just putting it on. I don't think he's putting on an act. When he talks about having belief in his players, believing that they've proved already that they can cope with the pressure because of how long they've actually stayed in front, how long they've been setting the pace in this league race. He actually genuinely, I think, believes in his players. And I think that's a great thing for the players as well when the manager walks in and you don't think you're getting BS off him. You're thinking, this guy believes in us and we believe in him because tactically, time and time again, he's come up trumps.
It calms you down.
So they're in a really good place just now, Hearts, not just in terms of the league position, but I think mentally going into these two games, they don't look as if they're ready to collapse in the manner in which Rangers certainly just did.
Jack, you know what's crucial about that as well? Sorry, Daniel. Crucial about that calmness as well is that Hearts might lose this league, but in terms of where Hearts want to go and where they want to be, if they do lose it, they need to be ready to go again at the start of next season. And see that belief that you're talking about in the players. If Hearts are going to become proper title challengers every year competing with Rangers and Celtic, they need to have that mindset. They need to have that attitude. And that's why I totally agree with you. In terms of this season, Derek McInnes genuinely believes that they can go and win it. I think He exudes that confidence. The players have picked up on it, and that's why they've lasted so long at the top of the league. But I also think, just in terms of the whole club, it's crucial to be that way, because if they're serious about this being a long-term thing, obviously with Tony Bloom's investment, and they're going to challenge at the top every year, they need to be ready to go again. This can't be a case of, if Hearts lose the league in the last day, of course they'll be devastated, the fans will be absolutely gutted, but they need to be ready to go again next season. It can't be the case that they just fall away next year and become fourth
and
or
put this
fifth.
down as just a flash in the pan season. Well, you can tell that's and that's maybe his biggest achievement, Scott. You know, aside from actually what's going on in the football pitch, inside the mentality of these players, he's changed the mindset of Hearts.
Yes,
As
100%.
you said there, Dan, you can't believe it. How we're sitting here listening to Hearts managers, but Derek McInnes says it like it's the most normal thing in the world now, and I think that he's managed to transform the mentality of that Hearts dressing room, and they believe in him. They believe in the project that Hearts are putting together, and they believe. I genuinely still think they genuinely believe that they're winning this title.
Well, a couple of people in the comments obviously pointing out as well, Scott, about the Champions League qualifiers. They've guaranteed that. You know, guaranteed at least second. So that'll be.
But he talked about that today, and he said, "But that's not enough.
Aye,
we've done that, right? That's in the bank.
That's great.
Rangers we've seen off Rangers for that second place, but that's not enough.
Aye.
And it's that insatiable appetite. That's what we talk about Celtic and having a winning mentality, and that's you know, as a you know, it's not just all down to mentality. Celtic have got the most talented group of players. They've got the most money. They're the biggest team in Scotland. But for Hearts to have such a change in mindset over such a short period of time, that's an incredible bit of man management from Derek McInnes.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the experience or Danny Rohl's lack of experience, all these things, I look at that Rangers dressing room. Do I believe that the players believe in the manager? No, I don't. I don't see it. I don't see the same connection. Do I look at the Hearts dressing room and think these guys completely buy into everything this guy's telling them? Yes, I do. And that's all about experience. And it's about having a bit of gravitas and all the qualities that you need in order to be a successful manager. Derek McInnes has been a long time coming into this season. He's been a long time getting himself into this position where he's 2 games away for a title. But it feels as if his whole career has been building up to this moment.
It's mad to think this is his first season at Hearts. It feels like he's been there years.
It's astonishing.
Time is getting away, but Martin O'Neill's been talking as well. The flip side of the title race. He said today, let me see, it's in our own hands. A couple of months ago, it looked as if that would have been impossible. Sunday's game gives us a big boost of confidence. He says, naturally, winning the game the manner we did is great, but that's gone now. That's over and done with. We face a major task here tomorrow evening rather. If we win the last 2 games, we win the title. You would have got long odds in that a number of weeks ago, certainly a few months ago. So from that viewpoint, you have to try and win. It will not be easy. It's been a topsy-turvy season. You have to question whether that hunger existed earlier on in the season, but it's come back and that's great. We all sat in the show. I was one of them. I said, there's no way Celtic will put together 5 wins after the split, 5-6 wins in a row. They're at 6 wins in a row now.
Again. And I don't want to sound like a stuck record here, but it's the same thing. There's an experienced manager who knows every trick in the book. He knows how to keep his dressing room calm. He knows how to keep his players motivated. He's got into their heads. I mean, this doesn't look even remotely close to the same group of players that were looking over to Wilfred Noncy when he was playing Scrabble on the sidelines wondering, what's this guy doing? They have complete faith in Martin O'Neill, and well they should. And what a battle.
He's the only man, I think, that could have galvanised Celtic this way. I can't think of another manager that would have come in.
Given the politics of the situation and the split between the fans and the board and all this, I think it was a really, really shrewd move.
Yeah.
I think it was a really, really stupid move to move him out and bring Wilfred Noncy in and go into reverse gear for a month. But Martin O'Neill has been, I mean, talk about, it's a cliche, the glue that's held everything together. Martin O'Neill has been exactly that. It's astonishing. It would have been astonishing if he'd done it 20 years ago. It's even more astonishing that he's doing it now at the age of 74.
Aye, absolutely. Right, the very last thing, guys. I mentioned the games tonight. There they are on your screen now. Aberdeen St Mirren, Keith. There's a few A bit of subtext to that game.
Oh, subplots. Wow.
I mean, Stephen Robinson, Pataudry against his old team, he could consign them to the second bottom, the relegation playoff spot.
A couple of months after winning them a trophy.
I know. And he built such a great St Mirren team, but they've fallen away.
Yep. And the St Mirren players look as if they're missing him. They're obviously being asked to play a different style of football. I'm not sure they've got the players to play the style of football they've been asked to play. I think it's a really awkward moment for Stephen Robinson tonight, but he's got to look after himself. He's got to look after Aberdeen. And I think that he will get the result tonight, which will send St Mirren down into the relegation playoffs. And I think that's going to be probably a really bittersweet moment for him.
Kyle in the comments, Scott says St Mirren could be consigned to the playoff tonight. Spoke to Scott about this. I make the championship team favourite. And he asked your thoughts on that as well. If they come up against a Dunfermline or a Partick Thistle, I would probably agree with him. I would probably fancy.
How do you fancy going up against Neil Lennon?
I know. Especially the way his season's gone.
Exactly right. And again, it comes back to that same thing. There's a really experienced, good manager.
Aye. I feel bad for St Mirren though, because I get they've had a lot of highs winning the cup and what have you, and they got to the semis of the other cup. But they had such a great team, your 3 top 6s in a row.
Daniel, I just think it's a tough job for Craig McLeish getting into that gig. Given the predicament St Mirren were in, where they were on the table. Keith's talking about experienced managers there. I mean, St Mirren went the exact opposite. A guy that had never managed at first team level before. And I know he came in and did well for a couple of games. He tried to kind of change the style of play a wee bit. Players spoke really highly of him, but to get into that relegation dogfight without any experience at this level behind you, I think it was a really tough ask. And I think Aberdeen will win tonight and consign St Mirren to the playoff. And as Keith said, it's a tough moment for the club, because as Kyle's pointing at, getting up against Dunfermline or Thistle. I know Mark Wilson's maybe nowhere near as experienced as Neil Lennon, but I mean Thistle have got a good side. Dunfermline have shown on their day, they don't fear anyone, in terms of Premiership side. So it is a worrying moment for St Mirren. Given where they've been, given what they achieved under Stevie Robinson, not just the cup, but top 6 finishes, stuff like that. Really difficult moment. And it's hard to see a way out yet for them.
And just very finally, a couple of people in the comments saying 3 home wins tonight. Do you go with
that? Yeah.
Hard to see beyond that. I don't know what you think, Scott. Dundee maybe at Killie.
Dundee might get a point at Rugby Park.
Aye.
Yeah. Listen, Dundee have been actually one of the most improved sides in the league this season. But I think Kilmarnock, the improvement they've made under such a short space of time under Neil McCann.
Remarkable,
that's incredible. Neil McCann has actually emerged from this as one of the success stories of the season. 2 wins before he went into the job. They're now sitting in what is it, 8 wins?
I think it's 7 or 8.
That's remarkable.
Pretty remarkable. Well, look, whatever happens in tonight's games, we'll be back tomorrow to talk about it all, but at a later time, Keith.
Pajama
party! We'll be on. A lot of people asking, actually. Some people said, are we on twice tomorrow night? Sadly,
calm down.
Sadly, we're not. But we'll be back on around 10 p.m. After the games have finished. We could have a league champion tomorrow night.
We could.
Sounds remarkable to say, but we could. Who knows? But we'll be here to talk about it all then. Scott, are you at any games tomorrow night?
I'll be at Ibrox tomorrow, so you might see me at some point.
I was going to say I'll be pestering you, no doubt.
You'll be sent the link, Scott.
Scott, thanks so much for joining us as ever. It's always great having you on, and thanks as well to Bill McMurdo. He was a great guest earlier on.
Bombshell exclusive.
I know, it was brilliant that. And as I say, we'll be back at 10 p.m. tomorrow. Thanks for watching tonight. Hope you can join us then. Cheers.